everybody to Geekvice episode 208, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We are back for another episode, and I haven't clicked on the announcements, so I actually don't know. At one point there was going to be announcements, but I don't know that there's any on there yet. Oh, there is one here that we've been told to start promoting right now, which is an event called Constellations. I think that's supposed to be Constellations.
Constellations, yes.
Yeah, Ben spelled it wrong. No, it's...
Sure, blame it on Ben.
Well,
It's
that's
all
what it
Ben's
said.
fault.
So, actually, no, I think it is Constellations, because the website is constellationni.net. This is our buddies at Underground Inc. They
Yeah, I
are
guess I don't know what
hosting.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, they are hosting this event. Well, they're hosting it. I think Ben is actually one of the organizers of this event, but I believe, if I remember right, and I need to do more research on this thing, I should probably talk to Ben and find out more about it, but I believe it is for writers and people who like to write, which Ben is one of, and but it's an event up in Lincoln, Nebraska, hometown of our good friend Ben at Underground Inc., and they are the ones hosting this thing. If you want more information, go check out constellationni.net. That is CONSELLATIONNE.net. Yeah, that's right. Speechless.
Yeah. Even Google disagrees with with the spelling.
So maybe Ben just did it wrong and just wrote it wrong in our little thing here, our document that keeps track of all these announcements, and maybe it's wrong altogether, and we'll fix it next week. So if you can't find it, you should contact the guys at Underground Inc., and they can give you more information. And you can find Underground Inc. by going to thepodcastarcade.com. How about that?
There you go. Because if they're counting on us, then
They're counting on the wrong people.
it's a big loss for them.
I mean, we pretty much fail in every other category, so I don't know why they would really want to count on us. But hey, some people have no hope, and we're one of them.
That's us.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm going to start this out. Oh, and of course, we go with bad video output. The stream is deciding to be a problem, but it looks like it's still going okay. So we'll see if it ends up picking back up. I apologize for anyone trying to watch the stream right now. Everything was going fine earlier. But, hey, whatever. What can you do? Before we get started on our actual main topic stuff, I want to, first, I have a question for our board game aficionado over there, Mr. Kip. Do you know of any place where you can purchase pieces for board games that have been broken or lost, or that, is there a third party out there that you can say, hey, I need this piece, and...
Yes. Go to Board Game Geek. Look up your game. There should be a link for, let me see. Let me make sure I'm pointing to the right place. But they actually have a place where you can go and request parts for a game, and they'll have them.
Nice.
Oh, it's called the Parts List. Imagine that.
Oh, hey, sweet. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I actually had a couple of games where I had to do that, and yeah, it's one guy just sent me the pieces. One guy I traded something with him. I mean, it's
okay.
That's the community is pretty awesome. So
Very good. Yeah, because so what's happened was Mice and Mystics has been played so dang much at my house that the one we lost one of the initiative cards, and then one of the pieces is like a little miniature of a centipede, and so it's kind of like a taller, bigger piece. But centipedes, they look like worms with legs. Well, of course,
right.
the 6-year Conley decided he was going to like push on it or something and ended up like snapping the thing in half, and I can't really fix it. So I'm like, well, I figured I could look and see if there was something on there, but Googling trying to find parts does not seem to work. So
No, Board Game Geek is your best bet.
okay, all right,
Um, a newer game like that, I don't know. Sometimes you can just send an email to the publisher and they will send you pieces. The punching wasn't that great, and when you pushed the piece through, it just ripped the paper right off the face of it.
oh, okay,
So he said, "Hey, I need some coins or whatever it was," and they ended up sending him, I think, just the whole punch sheet, that one punch sheet. So
all
depending on
right,
the publisher, they can also be very generous
okay.
because they want people to play their games. I mean,
Yeah, and
that's
I mean, and it one of it, one of it. It's just well, both of them are really just it's the fault of playing the game so much. I mean, one of the initiative card. This is a game that we took with us to Florida when we went on vacation, and like one of the afternoons when it's pouring down rain outside, and the kids were playing Mice and Mystics, and I think one of the initiative cards just like fell down behind one of the beds, and they didn't realize it until the next when we got home and we're trying to play the game, and we're missing that card. So um,
yeah. There's 8 listings for people who have parts.
okay. Cool. Well,
So
I'll have to check it out and see. That's good to know. I was wondering, and Google searching of that did not uh, really help me. so so I thought I would ask the person who would know the answers, which would be you. So I'm glad you could
yep.
help me out there.
Yeah, thankfully, Board Game Geeks people are awesome, and they will help a brother out when they can.
Cool.
You said one of them's an ability card, or
Yeah,
what
it's
was
the
it?
initiative card, so it's like
Initiative
yeah,
cards.
it's the card that just has all the information for for all the bad guys. That's what keeps all of their stats, like how much they like what their attack is, what their defense is, like how many dice you need to roll. That's got all the information on it. And it just sits on the initiative track on who gets to go first or what order people go in. So I've luckily the one that we lost is the spider card, which is also in the directions. It's the example that they give in the directions. So I've been using a different card and just remembering that hey, that's the spider card, and I just flip open the directions to that card and I can see what it all is. But
Gotcha.
it's that's how I've worked around it so far. But I'm like, well, now that I have two pieces that I need to replace, then maybe somebody can help me out.
Yeah, I bought a what's that game called? Blockus at a thrift store,
Yeah,
and it had all the pieces except for one. And then I found somebody on Board Game Geek that had a copy where they didn't have all the pieces either, and they were just parting it out. And so I got my little piece.
nice. That
It was
works.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's always nice. That is always nice. Um, all right, so now we're getting into the really important stuff here, and I need to give a disclaimer. I put a disclaimer in the notes on the YouTube channel, so if you're watching this, you can read the disclaimer down below in the show notes. Um, I don't know, maybe there'll be one in the iTunes show notes as well. Disclaimer here, we are going to talk about Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. We will probably go into detail on parts of these I will try to keep it as spoiler free as possible, but we want to talk about these stories, so there is a chance that we will talk about something that might be spoiler ish. If you do not want to be spoiled, push pause, go watch the movies, come back, finish our discussion. Um, that's what I'm going with.
Well, Black Panther I can understand, but if somebody's going to be spoiled on Thor Ragnarok, then we can't help them.
Yeah, well, at least Thor Ragnarok is out on. It's not out on DVD yet, but it is out on digital streaming, so you can purchase it VOD. So that is how I ended up watching it. And then I went to the theater and took the whole family to go see Black Panther. So my wife and I watched Thor Ragnarok, and I think that's where we'll start, because I think you and I agree on Thor Ragnarok a lot. I think we have the same mindset, the same thoughts, so this probably isn't going to be very complicated, or I guess complicated is not the right word. It's not going to be a very long discussion. So, I gotta say, I really liked Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was a lot of fun. I would rank it probably in the... Thor Ragnarok, I would consider more of a comedy-type Marvel movie, similar in lines with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
Would you agree with that?
I totally would, and and I'm glad it was.
Yeah.
Because things have been going
needed.
dark for a while. It was nice to have a little bit of a break.
Well, and the Thor movies, like the first Thor movie, I really liked. The second Thor movie, The Dark World, I was not as much of a fan of. I felt like the story was a little convoluted and hard to follow, and made some jumps to things that it just didn't seem to fit. This movie, I felt, brought Thor back to what it needed to be. There needed to be some comedy to Thor, because it's Norse mythology, which is already goofy and kind of flipped on its head. That mythology is very different than other mythologies. So, and very kind of weird, and like, it's not straightforward. Greek mythology is weird, but it's like linearly weird. Same with Roman mythology. Norse stuff goes like all over the place. It's one big giant circle, and it's weird. But so that's where I think this kind of went back. I really enjoyed the first scene where like Thor's kind of like almost breaking the fourth wall, or telling us, yeah, why, I'm stuck in this cage and chained up here. Why am I chained up? Because I'm doing, like, he goes through this whole like monologue at the beginning, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was kind of funny. It was almost Deadpool-ish. I don't know that he was specifically breaking the fourth wall. He doesn't really say anything that makes you feel like he's breaking the fourth wall. It almost comes off as like him just talking to himself. But I thought that was a good way to start off that movie and kind of set the tone early on with that movie. I have to say the other thing that I absolutely loved about this movie was Loki.
Well, you can say that about every movie Loki is in.
He is amazing, and I love that character. I love the actor. I mean, he just does an incredible job. I love the way, and I guess I didn't go back and look, and I really should. What's the time frame between Thor: The Dark World and like and reality time? Like, when did Thor: The Dark World came out? That was what, 5 years ago?
Was it that long ago?
It was the same year.
Things go by so damn fast, so it's hard to say.
I want to say it was before Skyfall.
It was 2013, so almost 5 years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, because I don't think that, I think my youngest one was just born and he just turned 6. So they got, because my wife and I, Amber and I, went and saw Thor: The Dark World in the theater, and it was just the two of us. So it was like, I knew it was a long time ago. Being 5 years ago, I had forgot that Loki was impersonating Odin. And so when that happened, like when you get to that scene in Ragnarok, you're just like, oh damn, that's funny. Oh, that's exactly what that is. Oh, that's right. That is right. I forgot about that. You know, it was great, and having Matt Damon play the Loki in the little play they were
Yeah.
doing was a perfect little cameo.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic that he was in that part. I really did. It's
So
just one of those things. It's like that just made that scene 100 times better.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And the only thing that would have topped that off and made that part even better is if Ben Affleck was playing Thor. So you had
Yeah,
the Ben Affleck Matt Damon duo, you know, like a Goodwill Hunting or a Kevin Smith movie. So yeah, that would have been priceless. Speaking of cameos, can we classify Mark Ruffalo as a cameo in this movie? Since I'm pretty sure he's only on the screen for about 30 minutes.
yeah, that probably stretches the boundaries of any kind of cameo.
I mean, I understand, and I'm not even sure. Like, is it his voice as Hulk, or is it is it like a computer modulated voice?
It's my voice, really, is what that is.
I mean, it could be. I mean, because it kind of has the inflections that as Mark Ruffalo, but it's just not. You know, it doesn't. It sounds like a lot of computer modulation in order to get that
Oh, I'm
voice.
sure it had to be no matter who it was.
But Hulk is Hulk in this movie is every other movie up to this point. It's been Bruce Banner in the movies with appearances of the Hulk. This was the Hulk with appearance of Bruce Banner, and only one appearance. One thing that I wish would have come out of the movie a little bit more, and maybe it would have taken some away, but a post-credit scene or something of can the Hulk change back to Bruce Banner, or is he stuck as the Hulk? Because that's probably the one serious part of this entire movie, was the fact that when Bruce Banner finally, or the Hulk was able to shrink back to Bruce Banner, and Bruce realizes that he has been trapped as the Hulk for 2 years, and he's like, I don't know that if I change into the Hulk, I might not be able to go back. And he changes into the Hulk because it's an emergency, which that scene is utterly hilarious. But
I think he can. He just chooses not to. And just for your information,
yeah,
the Hulk had been voiced by Lou Ferrigno in every MCU movie except for Thor Ragnarok, and that was actually Mark Ruffalo himself.
really,
Yeah, Ruffalo, however you say his name.
yeah. I did not realize that Lou Ferrigno had voiced the Hulk in all of the other movies. That's awesome.
Yeah, that totally is awesome.
that is good. I like that. But yeah, that scene where he looks at the Valkyrie and jumps out of the ship is like, well, this is what you were wondering who I was. This is who I am, and he just like jumps out of the ship and then smacks on the Rainbow Bridge and just like lays there. Like I'm like, oh, that was funny.
Yeah,
That was good. It's like I was,
yeah. One of the things I did like was, even they made Hulk kind of funny.
yeah,
I mean, like when they told him not to attack, and he's like, "Big monster!" Like, you got to be kidding me.
right, yeah, yeah. Or even just the part where, I mean, I thought it was comical where there's the scene where Thor has already fought Hulk in the arena, and they're in like Hulk's like private room or whatever, and Thor's trying to have a conversation with the Valkyrie that doesn't want to be a Valkyrie, and Hulk's just in the background with a big red ball, like just throwing it against the
Yeah.
wall like a kid. I mean, I'm just like, that is awesome. That is awesome, and I love that part. Like, or when he throws what is it? They're having him and Hulk and Thor are like making fun of each other. They're like, like, no you, no you, no you, and like Hulk like takes a shield and like throws it at him and it embeds in the concrete next to the Thor, and Thor just like looks at it like, what? You're gonna take my head off with that. Like that was great. I think the comic relief in this was really good, and I mean I enjoyed it. Hulk was good. He's not my favorite parts of this movie, but he was an important part of this movie, and I thought it was really good to have him in it. I kind of like the Hulk Fenris Wolf battle. That was I like that idea of monster versus monster type thing.
Yeah, I did too. I really there was not much I did not like about the movie. I went in. I mean, you went in knowing. I mean, the freaking font on the title of the movie was totally 80s. I
Oh
mean, it
yeah,
was tongue in cheek the whole way, and I was glad that Chris Hemsworth actually has good comedic timing.
yeah,
That was a pleasant surprise. Um, I thought, like you said, Hulk was good. Um, Thankfully, he didn't have to carry the movie.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I thought Kate Blanchett was pretty awesome as Hela,
yeah,
and um, I don't know, just the whole. It to me, it reminded me of a good stand-up. They gave you anytime there's a good stand-up comedian, they'll tell you something at the beginning of their stand-up, and then that same joke maybe hits two or three times during their entire set.
yeah,
They did the same thing with the big monster that ended up helping them beat Hela.
yes,
So he was at the beginning, there's a bunch of funny stuff about him, and then at the end, she's like, "Well, you can't beat me." He's like, "Yeah, I don't, but he can." That was like, yes,
right,
they ran that string all the way through. I loved that.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was really good too. I also love the part. There was a couple parts that I really liked. One was, and I'm trying to remember when they were on the Rainbow Bridge. I want to say it was when they were coming back to save save Asgard and fight Hela, and they were going through the Rainbow Bridge, and it was the song from Willy Wonka. It's like I'm like my wife and I both looked at each other as we were watching as that part came on, and we looked at each other like, oh, that is awesome. Because Willy Wonka is one of my, that's one of my all-time favorites, and so I thought that was really great. It gave it that, especially since it was that 80s vibe anyway, and then you throw in, like a Willy Wonka theme that is prior to the 80s, it was more 70s than 80s, but um, like I thought that was really good. And then the other one that I really liked was I liked the look on Loki's face when Thor told him to go take that mask and, put it in the fire, and he goes by and he sees the Tesseract sitting there, and he stops for a minute and he looks at it and he's like, I'm gonna be back for that, and then just goes to the mask. It's like
Yeah.
you never see him go back for it, but you almost feel like he has that right now. He
Oh
has
yeah,
the
that's the
Tesseract
feeling.
in his pocket, and nobody knows. Which I know you know that that's going to play a part in Infinity War that's coming up. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. To me, the whole movie worked. I wanted to see it again in the theater, but I didn't make it, so I can't wait to see it on DVD or Blu-ray or
yeah.
whatever we end up with.
And I think that comes out this week, next week. It's early March is when that is supposed to be released, I believe. But because, like I said, it's out on VOD now, so you can find it on, you can rent it on Amazon Prime and all those kind of things. So it won't be long before it's out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Righto.
Uh, so the other movie that I went and saw over the weekend was Black Panther. And I want to start with our movie going experience because why not? You got to have stories of going to the movie theater, right? And it's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of going to the movie theaters. Um, First of all, took the entire family. So me, my wife, my two kids at 9 and 6. I know that I am pushing the boundaries of taking a 9 and a 6-year-old to go see a PG-13 movie, but that's why it's PG. It's parental guidance. My kids can handle this movie, and I had seen enough and read enough about it to know my kids can handle this. They'll be all right. What I can't control are the trailers beforehand. And I thought it was a little disturbing that 3 of the, I want to say 8 trailers, maybe 10 trailers, but 3 of them were R-rated movies. At a PG-13 movie, when nobody, where technically the people in that movie, 13-year-olds, are not allowed to see the R-rated movie. So why do you have trailers for them in the theater? I don't know. I just thought it was funny, and I don't know. Kip, we had talked about this before, and you said you were going to ask Holly because she would know who picks what the trailers are beforehand. Is that a theater by theater thing, or is that it just comes with the movie and these are what's played beforehand?
She thought it was based on um, the movie house, the production house,
Okay.
and any kind of deal they've worked out. But I've seen the same movie in 2 different theaters and I've seen 2 different sets of trailers, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I don't really know how that all works, and I'm meant to do more research on that, but I have run out of time with my, abundance of free time. So, but I thought it was weird. I expected the Deadpool 2 trailer to be there, which is an R-rated movie, but the trailer is, other than, Deadpool action figure wrapping his legs around cable action figure's head, it's really not, there's really nothing to it. But the trailer for Red Sparrow and the trailer for Death Wish, particularly Death Wish, that trailer, I understand that it is rated for all audiences. That is probably the closest, that is the most not appropriate for kids under the age of 13 trailer um, that I've ever seen. Like that's that trailer, the only thing it was missing to put it into the red band, like, mature audiences only trailer is any, is just blood or some cuss words
Or some nudity.
or nudity. Like, because I mean it shows a car getting dropped on a guy, it shows guys getting shot, it shows, I mean, it's now granted it does a very fine, it works that very fine line of you see the car dropping just before it lands on the guy, the screen changes, but for God's sakes, he even tells you that the jack is going to kill him. Like, it it's just, it was, that was probably the one trailer where I felt like I needed to cover my 6-year-old's eyes that was sitting next to me. He's okay with seeing Black Panther because those are, that was tastefully done, but yet the trailers that are shown beforehand, I needed to cover his eyes for. It's like, come on, guys, let's get this shit straight. Like, let's figure this out and do it right. That was probably my one frustration with my
So were the
movie-going
trailers
experience.
actually rated R themselves?
No, no, they came on beforehand that these trailers are, for approved for general audiences, or I don't, well, it's not general audiences, but I can't remember what the trailer like what that tagline beforehand is, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
but it's not the same warning that you get before, like, the red band trailers where it, that are not appropriate for, like, not suitable for work, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
according to my fantastic wizardry and research here, it says say there's 6 trailers before the movie, which I think there was.
I
Um,
think there might have been more for this one, but
we'll just say six
we'll go
for.
6. It's a round number.
So 2 of the spots are automatic rights that they've worked out with the studio.
Okay.
And then the other 4 theater executives choose based on what they call a quadrant system, where they break up the potential audiences into 4 different categories, like men under 25, women under 25, that
Gotcha.
kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
that's how they decide.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought it was really funny because also for this movie, and I don't know, were you given a survey when you went in to watch Black Panther?
I was not.
I was given a survey. And they actually had surveys specific for kids going to see this movie. So my kids got to fill out a survey.
What the
So
heck was the survey about? What did they
it
ask
it
you?
was a Marvel survey. It wanted to know age, male, female, your standard demographic stuff, but then how you heard about the film, why you wanted to see the film, what you thought of the film, who your favorite character was, would you purchase any merchandise from the film, would you purchase the movie, would you see it again? Would How would you see it again? Would you see it in the theater? Would you wait for DVD? Would you recommend the movie? The adult questionnaire was two-sided. It was a pretty substantial questionnaire. And then the kids was one-sided, and a lot of it was really big pictures, like, who's your favorite character, and it gave you, and it was a whole bunch of the pictures of the main characters. Um, so, but the fact that they had a kids survey specific tells me that at least Marvel knew that there were going to be kids going to see this movie, yet the studio, or not studio, but the execs that decided what trailers were going to go in front of it thought, oh, it's okay to show Death Wish as a trailer. And no bash on Death Wish, because I actually kind of want to see the movie, but I'm not taking my kids to see it.
Maybe they're thinking the parental guidance, the parental part of that would want to see that trailer.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I didn't mind seeing it myself. I just didn't want my kids to see
You
it.
just didn't want your kids to see it.
So, but you know that's I guess if that's your only complaint of going to the movie, um, you know, that's not that big of a deal. I would also say my wife was a little, she was a little unnerved by the upper teen, low 20-year-old man sitting next to her in the movie theater that was bawling frantically throughout the movie. Was
He
really,
cried.
really torn up by, well, fuck it, here we go. I'm spoiling the movie. By the death of Black Panther. Just sobbing uncontrollably from that point on. And, um,
Wow.
yeah. So here we go. We're going to dive in deep into this thing because this
That's just
is,
disturbing. I'm sorry, I can't get over
well,
that.
and this is the part, like, I get emotional at movies. I have cried at a movie before because I get emotionally attached to characters in a movie. It happens in TV shows too. If they're really well written, I get emotionally attached. At no point was
The
I.
death of Yondu got me.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I was right there with you on that one. This movie, I had no emotional attachment to any of the characters. Not that much. Like, not enough to invoke anything from me. Um,
Plus,
which,
when it happened, you knew he was coming back.
well, yeah,
It
and
was
that,
too early in the movie.
and that goes to my point to this. I thought the movie was really good. I liked Black Panther, and I recommend it to everyone. Go see Black Panther. It is worth the money to go see it. But I felt like the story was missing some pieces. I felt like we spent too much time on some things and not enough on others. I think this movie fell problematic to the fact that they needed to fit it in 2 hours, and this movie had too much stuff for 2 hours. The story, not the movie, the story itself. In order to get a full story in, it needed more than 2 hours.
All right. So, what did you feel like they didn't cover enough? Because when you wrote that comment down, my initial reaction was I completely disagree. But now I want to hear why you think that and
So
what parts.
I didn't feel like I, one, the Killmonger character. I didn't feel like he was important. I understand why he was there, but I didn't have, like, I didn't feel his pain and his reasoning for taking over the throne to really make sense. I could have seen his motivation for just wanting to kill the Black Panther,
Okay.
but not necessarily with the taking over the throne part. Like, to me, I felt like they could have developed that more. When the Killmonger character came into the movie, like when you knew who he was, because you had no idea who he was through the first half of the movie, like I felt like by that point, by the time he got in there, there needed to be more development of that character. Um, like I was talking with Amber on the way home from the movie, and what I think he was missing, or what I kind of like to see in the movie, and again, you can't fit it in the 2 hours because the movie was already over 2 hours long. But if he would have gotten into the tribe with people not knowing that he was the, an heir to the throne, I guess, or the brother, the son, illegitimate son of the brother of the previous king, right? Is that how it
Yeah.
works? So he's like T'Challa's cousin.
Killmonger was his cousin.
So, if he would have gotten into the tribe, like welcomed back in because he did have the tattoo, he did have the identification, but just gotten in and just kind of worked within the shadows of the area to cause the revolt and or of the mutiny, instead of just immediately showing up and immediately walking it, like basically showing up, getting captured, and now all of a sudden half the people there want to back him even though he's never been there before. Like, I felt like that was a stretch. I felt like there wasn't enough build up to Killmonger overthrowing Black Panther to make the Black Panther overthrow important.
I think it was okay. So here's the two reasons I think they did it. One is there was this whole "the world owes me something" mentality by Killmonger, and I think what they were trying to say is bad things happen. Sometimes bad things happen directly to you, and sometimes bad things happen to your ancestry. And that doesn't mean in any way that the world owes you something. I think that's the message they were trying to get across. And the second part was they felt like, they being the people that sided with Killmonger, that it was time to show their power and kind of take over the world. And that's how he got followers. That's what Killmonger wanted to do because the world owed him that. Right. And there was so much injustice in the world that he just wanted to use this extreme power. And in the guise of righting wrongs, we're just really just wiping everybody out in power and taking over.
Yeah.
And that had to happen to kind of show that just the threat of them being exposed could break this whole thing down, and any good they could have done is gone at that point.
Yeah.
Because of the world being the way it is, it's like, oh, they've got all this. We want it. Right. We can weaponize it. We can do whatever we want once we have it. And there was that fine line between keeping yourself hidden and keeping, like building a wall, to keep out Mexico, and just keeping completely isolated versus doing good for the entire world without taking over the entire world. So yeah. I kind of felt like T'Challa was the edge. He was at the tipping point, and Killmonger was trying to push everything over to one side.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's what he was there for.
And I get that. Without the Killmonger character, without him in this movie, there is nothing to push T'Challa to the point that he gets to at the end of the movie, where he it's the first post-credit scene where he goes into the UN and says, we need to all work together as if we're one tribe to help each other, because that's the right thing to do. We have all this stuff, we want to help.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I agree with that, and that's why I think the movie is so good, with the direction that it takes it and the way it gets there. It's just, I feel like there was parts, I feel like they could have built more up on that Killmonger character. Kind of the same way, like, so the two villains that are in this movie, I feel like both were just left as they were only halfway built.
And I wanted them both to survive.
And both of them are dead now. Like,
yeah. Like, not very often will I watch a movie where I want the villain to survive. And this one, I had two villains I wanted to have survive because they were great.
Yeah. Well, and what I want is, like, honestly, I felt like this movie could have been split into two. One, like, part 1 where Killmonger infiltrates Wakanda, gets everybody on his side, kills T'Challa, and the movie's over. And then the second movie is T'Challa fighting his way back into Wakanda, stopping the people on the outside, his all the supporters of Killmonger that then get all the weapons, stop them from doing bad things, and bringing Wakanda back, under his control, removing Killmonger from power, and opening Wakanda up to the world. Like, I felt like that almost could have been 2 movies, and honestly, I felt like Ulysses Claw didn't have to be in the movie at all. But I love the character. I love what they did with him. I thought he was great, and I just wanted more of him. Like,
yeah, especially when they had him tied to a chair and he's singing "Baby Don't Hurt Me."
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
like,
that's a perfect villain moment.
Yeah, could we have had a point where maybe can we just not kill all our bad guys? Can we actually capture them so that we can still use them in other movies? Because I think he would have been a great character to have just keep pestering Wakanda, trying to get vibranium from them. It like that
Yeah.
would have been a good Black Panther 2. And it doesn't even have to be the whole movie. It could just be parts of it where you just have him showing up, like, trying to make a deal, and Black Panther's just trying to stop him whenever he can, and like, oh, hey, we're going to do this, and then, oh, hey, wait, there's Ulysses Claw, like, walking across the streets. Like, we need to get that guy still, type thing. I thought that could have been really good. Now, so enough of the things that I didn't like. I want to talk about some of the things that I really did like. I loved the Jabari tribe. M'Baku was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I loved the scene where, and I even forgot the only other white guy other than Ulysses Claw that had a name, and I still don't even remember his name. I think it was Ross.
I don't remember his movie name, but I know it's Martin Freeman.
Right,
but,
Martin Freeman's character is like, he goes to try to talk to M'Baku, and he just starts barking at him. It's
Yeah.
like you're not allowed to talk here. Shut.
See, I want a Jabari movie now.
Yes. Yeah.
I really thought that whole dynamic there
Yeah.
was enough for a movie. I really did. He was great, and when he came to their rescue, made him even better.
Yeah. Yep.
It gave a depth to that character that at the beginning you didn't think he had.
Well,
And
and that was the thing. You got more character development from M'Baku from the Jabari tribe, who is only in 2 scenes of the movie, than you do of the main villain, Killmonger, who's the second most important person in the movie.
yeah, I could see your point there.
And that's what I was hoping for. Like, that's what I wanted more out of Killmonger, is I just want more of him, and now we can't have any more of him. I felt like there needed to be we needed to understand how pained and, troubled he really was. Not that we needed his origin story, but that we needed more to him. And maybe we even just needed to see more of him to understand what it was or who he was, rather than just having Martin Freeman's character telling you, oh, well, he did this and he did this and he was in special forces and then he became CIA and he was, killing people left and right, and it was easy for him, and he was part of the hit squad that just went in and overthrew governments, and like, well, that was great that you told us all this, but it's a movie. I'm not reading a book. It's a movie. Show us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give us something more for him. He needed to be on the screen more. and well,
He did, and Michael
partly I
B.
thought he
Jordan
was,
was
yeah.
fantastic.
I just thought that I thought it was really good. I thought Michael B. Jordan did an amazing job as Killmonger. Um, I also got to say that my other favorite part was probably my favorite character of the entire movie, and that was Shuri,
Oh yeah,
T'Challa's sister. You know, little
yeah.
sister. She was awesome. She was hilarious. She brought comic relief when she needed it. She made quick-witted insults when they were perfectly timed. Case in point, Martin Freeman getting up, you know, after being cured from the thing, and she just calls him a colonist, and he's just like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, you got nothing when somebody calls you that. It's like, well, yeah.
yeah, you know, it was. I thought it was perfect. I thought she was great. I also loved Okoye. I thought she was really good, and then T'Challa's girlfriend. I keep forgetting her name. Um, Baki, I think. Um, I should look it up, but that would
Yeah, too bad there's not a website where you can look up movie database information.
yeah. But yeah, get on that.
Oh, so it's my job. Okay.
But like I loved all the female characters in this, even T'Challa's mom, and the way she was handled. Like I thought it was great. I just wanted more of these characters as like I want I want a sequel already. Like I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. Um,
Nokia.
Nakia, that's what it is. Um, I I loved the. I want to know more of the different tribes. I want to know their backgrounds. I want to know what they did in Wakanda and how, because it felt like they were all segregated in a sense. Like Okoye's husband, boyfriend, whatever, the guy who raised the rhinos. It felt
Wakabi.
like, yeah, it felt like that tribe took care of raising animals and maybe livestock ish. You,
And were they a separate tribe, or were they just,
well,
you know?
Well, they talked about it at the beginning, and that was the other thing. There was a lot of exposition at the beginning of this movie that kind of set up Wakanda, which was good because otherwise I'm pretty sure the movie would have been like 4.5 hours long. But um, but that setup kind of, it talked about there being 5 tribes. 4 of them formed Wakanda, and the Jabari tribe went off and lived in the mountains.
Oh yeah, they did say that, didn't they?
But and it seemed like when you saw them, they all like they wore different things, and then when they all fought each other, there was really only 2 tribes that stuck out. You had the Elite Warriors and Black Panther as kind of one tribe, and then the ones that raised the rhinos is another tribe, and they all had similar like they all had similar fighting styles. So the rhino raisers had the shields and the, you know, the like what was it, like the cloaks that they would pull over in front of them, and they all formed shields. I want to know more about all the different tribes and what all they do, how like what how they use their vibranium to work into their lifestyle, you know, their type of, you know, their, you know, essence per se. You
Yeah.
know, what was their purpose in the Wakanda civilization? Like I want to know more about Wakanda as a whole. So I hope that we get more of that down the road. But the movie was really good. I gotta say, the movie was really good. As far as where I would rank it, I'd probably put it in the, well, how many movies do we have? 15 movies now?
A lot.
We'll just, I think I think we're up to about 15. I would probably put it in the top half, for sure. I don't know that I would put it in the top 5. And I say that specifically because after rewatching Captain America: The First Avenger and after rewatching Iron Man just recently, those two movies are so good, and they are so even Iron Man 2. I enjoyed Iron Man 2 probably almost more than Iron Man 1. Um, those movies were so good and so powerful for what they, like, when they came out and what they set up, that those movies were, I feel like they almost get overshadowed by some of the newer movies that come out, that those, because they were some of the first movies, they get forgotten. And after rewatching them, I'm like, damn, Iron Man 2 really, I like that movie almost better than Black Panther. Um, like, so that's why I would put it in the top half. Still
To
really
me, the
good.
gold standard of the MCU is the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
And maybe I look at it like episode 4 of Star Wars. You know, maybe it wasn't the best movie, but it's the first one. And it really
Yeah.
was the first
It
one.
was. Hmm.
And it was so well done that I just hold it to a higher standard than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And then probably my number 2 is probably the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And then probably Guardians. And then probably Black Panther for me.
Yeah. See, and I hold Winter Soldier a lot higher, because that's the type of movie that I really enjoy. I like that espionage type movie, that government conspiracy overthrow type stuff. I really like that, um, like that type of movie. So I really enjoyed Winter Soldier. That one is right at the top for me. Um, and then Iron Man 2, um, Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely up there because that was just a great movie. But I really like the first Avenger as well. Um, Also, the first Avengers movie. So yeah, it was. There's a lot of movies that I like, and it's not to say Black Panther's bad. It's just there's a lot of really good Marvel movies. So it's up there. It's not the worst, so that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
but I think I just rank it lower than uh, than you do, and that's the hey, to each their own, and your mileage may vary. So, but it's still worth going to see. So you should definitely go check out Black Panther. And I'm pretty sure with the way the box office, I didn't look up the numbers before this, but they've been breaking records left and right. Um, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see Black Panther 2
Oh, yeah.
sometime in the future.
I'd
So
be shocked if we don't.
yeah, I would too. I would too.
Well, the good news is M'Baku is in Infinity War.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll be
So,
interesting.
so at least he's not just part of the Black Panther universe and that's it.
Yeah,
He gets to be a part of the whole thing, which is great.
that's gonna be interesting. I and that's the other thing I really liked. Let's see. Um, oh, post credit scenes for Black Panther. The second post credit scene, awesome. I really liked it. I am very curious, and I think it is setting up for what um it's. I think that scene right there is setting us up for what's going to happen after Infinity War, for the next round of Marvel movies, and how they're going to continue on the characters that are there, because that Chris Evans is not going to be Captain America forever. Um, you know that I was going to say Tony Stark cannot be Iron Man, but Robert Downey Jr. cannot be Iron Man forever. At some point they're going to have to come up with new things. Seeing Bucky Barnes with Shuri and, being able, like, looking like I think she even makes a comment, you've got a long way to go, you know, rehabilitation, maybe?
I think so. I think he was broken in more ways than one,
Yeah.
and so
And, and then on top of that, it made me, well, after seeing that, made me want to go back, like, and I'm still making it through my movies, but I want to go back and rewatch the end of Civil War because I want to know. I remember Cap goes into hiding and Bucky goes into hiding, but does Cap go with Bucky or do they go separate? And could Cap be in Wakanda as well?
that's a good question. I don't know.
And then the other question is Bucky, so we know that they can heal, Wakanda can heal bullet wounds in a day, especially to spinal injuries to people. Can they regrow back? Can they grow back limbs? Will Bucky get an actual arm, or is he going to get a vibranium arm?
I'm hoping it's vibranium.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But
Because why not?
yeah, get him a badass mechanical arm.
To go with that badass shield when he becomes Captain America. So
You said it. You said it. I hinted at it. You said it.
I think that's what it. And when we got done, my wife's like, "Well, what'd you think?" I said, "Well, I think they just told us Bucky's the next Captain America." Well, I didn't see that. It's like, well, I think you gotta have to read between the lines on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're setting Bucky up to be a hero, and it's so yeah, it maybe he's not the Captain America, but he's going to be a Captain America.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts you want to throw out there? Anything else you want to mention about Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok?
The only thing I wanted to mention about Black Panther is I think they did a really good job of also telling you that lack of action is also doing evil.
Yes.
I think they had to,
Yeah.
in two ways. One, T'Chaka kills Killmonger's dad and then leaves him
Right.
instead of doing right by the kid and taking some action.
Yeah.
And then the second part is letting the world go to hell without taking any action.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a really good job of posing that as well. What I did like about the movie overall was they put out there a lot of social issues that we are dealing with without being preachy.
Yes.
And I totally appreciated that. And I got the message. So,
yeah.
Well done.
So, and I'll also throw one other thing out there. In talking with my neighbor who went and saw it, who happened to be the movie showing directly after the one we were at, because we saw them as we were leaving the theater.
Okay.
She made the comment that to her it didn't feel like a Marvel movie, it felt more like a Star Wars movie.
Interesting.
I think it was more the amount of technology that was there. The fact that this is really the first time you had aerial combat between ships in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't always person versus person fighting. It was a lot of technology. It was a lot of, there was a lot more of that kind of fighting than it was hand to hand, Cap versus Iron Man, Cap versus Red Skull, Cap versus Nazi soldiers, Iron Man versus, versus any of his bad guys that he fought. It wasn't. Which I could kind of see that. You could also see you felt like it was a conflict on a small scale in a really big universe.
Yeah.
Because it was Wakanda as a small little thing, and there was so much other stuff going on around it that it just didn't. It felt isolated, and I thought it was really good. I thought they did a good job. So go see Black Panther. Go rent Thor Ragnarok, or go buy Thor Ragnarok. Go buy it. Enjoy those movies, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to more stuff. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about, but we'll have something. I am in the process of going through and watching Inhumans Season 1. I have been warned that the first episode was really good, which I enjoyed a lot. But the other episodes kind of go downhill from there. We'll see how that goes. There's only 8 episodes, so I might have that done by next week. We might be able to talk about that. But
Cool.
But yeah, I'm inundating myself in Marvel for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not reading comic books as much now because my tablet's dead and I can't read my digital comics without sitting at the computer screen. So, I don't know, but I'm really liking the Marvel stuff.
Very cool. Hopefully, I'll get one of my 5 challenge games played this Friday, and if I do, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, there you go. I like that idea. So, all right, everybody. Well, this is where I give you my standard disclaimer. Everybody check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/geekvice. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at tiny.cc/geekvice. You can follow us on Twitter, that man over there, at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. And of course, as always, you can reach us at email at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.